flies when you're having fun, or whatever that phrase is. Don't giggle at me, Brian. Brian and I are back to torment you on your Tuesday evening. Aren't you lucky people? And we have a great show for you. We really do, don't we, Brian?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We are right here on Jackalope Radio. And those of you who are listening know exactly where you are. But for those of you who weren't sure, that's where you are. And thanks for joining us. And let's get rolling first off by sending out some well wishes and thoughts and a speedy recovery and thoughts and prayers and healing energy to Father Andrew Calder, who is not doing very well at the moment. From what I understand, he's in a medically induced coma with a few different ailments that are really, taking their toll. So we're sending, love from all of us over here at ParaChallenged Radio over to him and everyone who knows him, and friends and family and all of that, and our support and all of that. So if you have a brief moment, just send some positive thoughts his way, and we hope that he makes a quick recovery.
Absolutely.
And we do have a great show. We have author, actually he's got a list of accolades longer than my art. And it's not hard to do. I'm first, Brian.
You have gimpy little T-Rex arms, is that what you're saying?
We have Neal Parks, author, paranormal researcher, and investigator, public speaker, and a professional artist. Welcome to the show, Neal.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, we're glad to have you. Glad to have you.
As you were saying earlier, time flies when you're having fun. I always thought time flies when you're having a proctology exam.
Or I thought that wouldn't fly fast enough.
Depends on the audience, yeah.
Yeah. So where would you like to start, Neal?
Wow. Are you going to take me through a tour of your home, or is this in regards to the radio show? Okay. Well, we could start basically with how I got into this, the interest in the paranormal, supernatural, super unknown phenomenon. I technically started at the age of 5, and I actually started doing field research at the age of 11 and 12, going out to different locations with the assistance of those who could drive and or my parents in order to get there, or just hiking it, riding a bicycle to get there. And at around the age of 15, I started doing my own newsletter, which was known as Paranormally Speaking. Since then, it developed into just going to different locations like youth rallies, conventions, even churches, and talking about the occult and or paranormal phenomenon / miracles, and tied it in biblically. That way it was more socially acceptable, and people didn't want to cast stones at me or throw holy water in my eyes.
Wow, now I know some of our listeners are going with their chins hanging down, gasp, at the young age of 5 to 11, or, yeah, how does that happen?
Well, it started with the age of 5. I started seeing, it was 2 years to the date of my grandfather's death, and we had all been told that he died from old age. And I saw him appear before me in an apparition form, full-figured entity, in my grandmother's home. And he had his arms stretched out and looked at me with this look of anguish, and he had wounds on his throat and on his wrists, just like uncauterized wounds, which didn't make sense to me as a 5-year-old. That would freak you the flip out. So it happened again a year later, the age of 6, and it continued to happen every year around that time, the anniversary of his death, up until the age of about 12 years old, when I, at that moment, I was very active in youth group at that point, and I said a prayer to God to basically take him away, do whatever you need to do with him to get him to stop suffering, because I'm not sure why he's appearing to me like this. After I had prayed that prayer, he just continued with the appearances from year to year, and it just felt like an incredibly overwhelming feeling of peace in the room at that moment. And then my grandmother confessed to me about a year later that she too had been seeing him all this time, but she was told not to talk about it because my aunts and uncles threatened to institutionalize her.
Oh, wow. Yeah, when it wasn't accepted, it wasn't accepted.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just short of the Salem witch trials at that point. Just a few years away from it, you know. It's 1692 and all.
That's what's so refreshing about the times these days. And one good thing, I guess, about the show is the field opening up some and making it more or less of a bad thing to talk about. You know, more people can come out and get the help that they need.
Yeah, it's trendy now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can go into Kohl's or to Walmart